Let's lay some noise.
Hey everyone, thank you for tuning in to Vic and Amanda Straight No Chaser. Today we have a very, very special guest, Jeff Blake in
the house.
I had to do that right. I had to come correct for him. I did my research. I know nothing about football, but I feel like I know a little bit more now after I stalked you yesterday. Here, yeah, let's do a cheers before I do the mentions. Cheers.
Cheers.
Whew, okay.
I've been waiting to smoke a cigar. Well, I'm going to talk about how I met Jeff at another time, but I've been waiting.
Now we need to know.
Well, okay, you know what?
Juicy.
Okay, honest to God, this is how I met Jeff Blake. I'm in Sarasota, he's in Sarasota, and I honestly, because I was locked up, I was locked up in the 90s, so I really just didn't recognize him at first, which I was embarrassed. But I saw him at the cigar bar, Corona's, a huge cigar bar downtown. And here, well, you can look at him right now. Just a beautiful brother. And he had this hat on his head. He was just sitting there real cool with a group of people, real laid back. And I'd seen him like for months, and finally I said, you know what? I have to just go and meet this guy because sometimes you see somebody, they somebody. They somebody. I knew it was somebody, so I literally walked over to the table he was at, and I said, "Listen, I know y'all are somebody. I don't know who y'all are yet, but would it be all right if I sat with you and smoked a cigar and just get to know y'all?" And he was so nice, so humble. We got to know each other. Just a beautiful, beautiful brother, and we're just delighted that you thought enough of us to come on our show today. We're so happy.
You guys for having me.
Yeah, we're so excited. I want to give you guys a little background on Mr. Jeff Blake. So he has 14 seasons with the NFL, most notably with the Cincinnati Bengals, Chicago Bears, I had to mention that, and then the Saints. He earned a Pro Bowl selection in 1995. He's known for his strong arm, how you throw a football, and deep passing accuracy. And he also has, I found this out yesterday, which I thought was very cool, 7 NFL players in the family. So is it in the DNA? Is it in the blood, would you say?
I would say, my dad actually played in the CFL. I played in the NFL. My oldest son played. My brother-in-law played 10 years, 3 Super Bowl rings with the Cowboys.
Wow.
And all 3 of his sons have played, and 2 of them still playing.
Oh, your son got 3 Super Bowl rings with the Cowboys.
No, my brother-in-law.
Your brother-in-law.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
That's incredible. So I'm going to ask some questions and then we're going to open it up and talk about some other things. But I had some questions that I thought I would want to know and maybe you guys want to know too. So did you always know, like obviously you were raised with football in your family, in your household. Did you know like, hey, I want to be a football player? Or were you kind of like molded into that? Like how did this come about?
I started holding a football when I was probably 5 or 6 years old.
Wow. Okay.
I always watched my dad play, and after my dad played in the CFL, he became football coach in my local hometown, Sanford, Florida. And at that time, I was the ball boy, so I was always around the game. Even when I wasn't playing at the time, I was still around the game. Like I said, I was the ball boy. I was always, around the football players, around the environment. So it was kind of like instilled in me, kind of bred it into me in a sense, because I had just been around the game my whole life. And I actually started playing football when I was 8 years old. Full organized contact football when I was 8 years old. Sorry,
Wow.
I'm dropping this
Oh no, you're.
alcohol on me here. I'm getting a little excited talking about the game.
Yeah, he is.
I'm always doing it. So, to make a long story short, I just continued to play throughout my youth and all the way through high school, and had opportunity to go to college. Got recruited at East Carolina University. Got drafted 6th round by New York Jets, and then invested 6th round.
I want to ask this because this is where my mind goes. So, when your dad saw that you had an interest in being a football player, was he like Joe Jackson with it, or did he kind of let you have the freedom to figure it out, or was he like, okay, I see something in you, I'm gonna really,
What do you mean if people like Joe Jackson? Like,
because Joe Jackson was so strict. I mean, Joe,
so
you
talking
got
about
some,
Michael Jackson's
yeah,
father.
Michael Jackson, yeah. Did you get that reference?
No, yeah, I got a reference.
Okay, all
I
right.
got a reference, but
Yeah, I
no,
got
my
yes.
dad,
Joe
my
Jackson and
dad wasn't like
Michael
that at all.
Jackson.
My dad
Oh,
wasn't
he
like that at all.
wasn't.
No, it was like this in my neighborhood. If you did not play sports, you weren't the cool kid.
Oh, wow.
All the cool kids played sports. You
Right.
either were a drug dealer or you played sports.
Right.
And all the kids who were very good at sports, the drug dealers didn't allow us to come around. No, 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 no. Going
This
back
ain't
over
for
there.
you.
Yeah, yeah. Going back over there. You good.
Right.
Don't come over here. So they actually looked out for a lot of us. Knowing that we had the opportunity to make it to another level. I would come around some of my older cousins, friends. They out on the corner drinking. I come around. They start hiding their beers and stuff and tell me to get away.
That's
So
amazing that they
yeah.
didn't pull you in and they
Mm-mm,
saw
mm-mm.
the potential
First of
in
all,
you.
my dad would have probably killed me. So
Right. Yeah, so out of respect, they
yeah,
probably were
yeah.
like, yeah, this ain't the one.
Mostly my dad's from the same hometown. We all from the same hometown, so everybody knew each other.
Right.
So that would
Small
that
community.
yeah, small community. That word would have got around fast,
Right.
and somebody would have fed me a bit.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that didn't happen, which was a blessing.
Yeah.
And we all in my community, we all look out for each other. A lot of us are family in some type of way. Either be first cousin, second cousin, third cousin, fourth. You know how it is when you're from small town.
Yeah.
Everybody kind of know one another. So it was kind of destined in a way that I was gonna play the game of football.
That's amazing. Okay, I love that. So I want to kind of equate this to someone because maybe you're watching this and you don't have dreams of being an NFL player, but you do have dreams of something. You aspire to do something in your life. There's a goal that you want to reach, and you're not sure how to do it, which direction to go, how to start achieving those things. What would be your piece of advice to someone who hears your story, hears the success? And I'm sure you've been through so many things, so many obstacles that you had to overcome. But what would be your one piece of advice to someone that has dreams and they're not sure how to activate that and get that into actual make their dreams a reality?
Adversity, understanding that, and purpose. Adversity and purpose. So, what adversity did you go through? Not understanding what adversity means for most people. Everybody adversity can be different. My mom died when I was 6. I was
Oh,
raised by my dad and my family for the most part. Having that adversity and having someone spiritually helping me along the way, and taking me through the right paths. And my dad really took me through the right paths. And um, I had a lot of other adversities growing up. One being a black quarterback during that time, which was very difficult during
yeah.
that time. And luckily, like Shador Sanders, Deion Sanders' son, I had a dad that was actually my coach. So
Oh,
that actually really helps you because he's going to pour into you a lot more than would if it was a coach that didn't have the same interest or the same value
yeah.
in you as
And
another
he's
coach.
genuine. He has the
Yeah,
best.
he's
He
genuine.
has
He
your
has my
best
back. He has
interest.
my best
Yeah,
interest.
you don't have to worry
Right.
about someone
And
being shady
being
or
shady
not
or
have the right intentions.
exactly. So I had the opportunity growing up to be around my family and being in a tight family setting growing up. So um, my adversities came throughout my whole life, really. High school, a lot came through college. I met my ex-wife at my sophomore year, had my son. My She got pregnant, had my son going into my senior year, so I had an infant
Oh
going
wow.
into my senior year.
Yeah.
Because a lot of guys give up at that point. They drop out of
Just the
school.
stress of life
Well, they
is
drop out of school. They start working. Not knowing if they're gonna have that opportunity. But like I said, I always had a strong family base, and I didn't know I was gonna have an opportunity to go to the NFL probably until I would say after my junior year.
okay.
My coach sit down with me and say, "Man, you're very talented. I'm gonna try to help you put yourself in the push, put all of us in a position of name Coach Steve Logan, great guy, to where we can all be successful. Not you as an individual, not only you as an individual, but all of us as a group. And that happened my senior year. We went 11-1, finished number 9 in the nation.
Wow.
And I finished 6th in the Heisman. I was the 6th best player in college football.
Wow.
My
Wow.
senior year in college.
Wow.
So it's kind of something else you didn't know. But
No,
Yeah.
it's a whole bunch of stuff I didn't know. You know, don't embarrass me.
He's quiet right now, so that's how you know.
He's listening.
He's listening. He ain't normally quiet. So
Okay, fine. But I want to jump, because everybody's looking like Victor's real quiet. But I do have some questions I want to ask you. So, for a lot of cats now growing up, because you mentioned something, and you talked about the fact that you were one of the first black, quarterbacks. Now, I grew up under the, when Doug Williams was the first black quarterback to win the Super Bowl.
Yes, sir.
So that was unusual. We
Yes,
just
sir.
didn't have black quarterbacks. I mean, we had, I think it was Vince Evans that used to play for the Bears. I mean, they just weren't there.
Yeah, this is
Warren Moon, a few folks.
Randall.
Yeah. So for young cats, which we call old school, my producers always beat me up about that old school. I done told them,
Yeah.
ain't no old school, ain't no new school without old school.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a whole nother story. But for these young cats out here who are enjoying Patrick Mahomes and enjoying who's the cat on the Philadelphia Eagles?
Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, we had two black quarterbacks playing each other in the Super Bowl, which was just amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So elaborate a little bit on what it was like to be a black quarterback in the NFL when we really didn't have any, and some of the adversity or racism that you had to go through, or things that happened when you were up and coming black quarterback in the league.
Yeah, when I got to Cincinnati, it was fun. Cincinnati Bengals are great fans. It's one of the biggest football fan bases that you can have. But being a black quarterback coming up during that time, it was always, what have you done for me lately? You have to perform, and that's just anything. I don't care if you're in a regular job, if you out in business. You have to perform high and at a high level every year, every game, every
you have
play.
to prove yourself every
yourself
moment.
every game, every year, because the one time they thought you did not belong, they're gonna get rid of you.
The pressure of that, I can't imagine.
Pressure of that, and a lot of people don't realize the things that we go through as athletes, to maintain that status and that level, and the training and the film watching and the preparation to be able to do that year in and year out. It's very time consuming. It's mentally draining, sometimes spiritually draining as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So were there instances where you had other players, the people that kind of doubted your ability in that position?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Even on your own team?
I didn't see it much on my own team because they saw what I can do.
Yeah.
Because they saw it every day.
Yeah.
Right. So they're like, let me get on this team.
Yeah. They saw it every day, so you didn't have as much of that. You would, as far as naysayers, but were there people out there that, did I get hate mail, nigger mail, all kind of stuff like that?
Wow.
Oh yeah, of course. I got a lot of.
So people were sending you letters calling you a nigger.
Oh yeah.
Oh, you received that?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Interesting.
Definitely.
Because see, a lot of cats they don't know nothing about that right now.
Well, you
paved the way.
You're talking about early '90s. You're talking about early '90s. When I first came in the league, it was 3 black quarterbacks that were starting. It was me. Actually, when I first came in the league, it was Randall, Warren, and Rodney Peete was starting for the
Rodney Peete,
Detroit Lions at the time. And I became the 4th one to actually start starting. And then the next guy after me, I can tell you succession of which black quarterback was in succession behind me for about the next 7-8 years.
Wow.
Because it was me, then Cordell Stewart, then Steve McNair, then Michael Vick.
Didn't they call him Aaron McNair?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Then Michael Vick. Then in 1999, that was the first year they had like 4 or 5 first-round draft picks at black quarterback. They had Keely Smith, Dante Culpepper. They had Donovan McNabb, and it was somebody else I can't remember. I think it was another one. And that year, 1999, kind of helped evolve that position when it came to black quarterbacks being drafted in the first round. Because a lot of those guys were very successful. Dante Culpepper, playoffs. I don't think he would get Super Bowl, but definitely went high in the playoffs every year. But Donovan McNabb, high in the playoffs, Super Bowl. Everybody know about Michael Vick.
Right.
Astonishing quarterback.
Wait, he did something with the dogs, right?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he did. But
that's what I remember him from.
Yeah, but he paid his dues for that.
Yeah.
He came back and he played excellent. He played excellent. And now he's the head coach for Norfolk State.
And so this is an interesting segue because you mentioned about Michael Vick, who I love. You know, great talent.
Great guy. Great guy.
Because you don't get to the NFL without being talented.
Yes.
But there are so many people. We had the young guy who was on the Raiders, his freshman, not freshman, but his rookie year in the Raiders, got into a Corvette. You know, I love Corvettes. I've had 35 in my life. I'm a Corvette guy. And I was just startled when, you know, they had the film.
The scene of a crash on Rainbow Boulevard and Tropicana Avenue.
Where's the driver of this car?
Newly released footage from that night shows a car engulfed in flames as Metro officers and first responders rush to help.
Hey, somebody inside that vehicle, do you know of?
Inside of the nearly unrecognizable Toyota RAV4 are 23-year-old Tina Tintor and her dog Max. An autopsy revealed Tintor died from
where he had a little bit too much to drink. He was out with his quarterbacks and his friends having fun. This dude, you know, 150 miles an hour, ran into a car, killed the woman and the dog. He's in prison right now. And we've had so many examples. Aaron Hernandez, even Aaron McNair is dead. There's a HBO special about him because he lost his life. There was the other guy. Who was the guy who got caught with the gun and shot himself with the Giants?
Receiver.
Was it Burrows or something?
Goodness. Oh my God.
There's so many examples
I know
of people who've gotten to that level, who, and this is part of my thought about you. You're such a gentleman.
And very humble.
Humble. You carry yourself so well. What advice would you give? Because I know me and you have discussed, like, possibly even going around the NFL and having discussions with rookies about how to conduct themselves. About, you know, here you are, you get in the NFL, you have all these fans, all these women, all these people, all this money, and people get caught up, and some of them have been jailed because of it. What would you, being a veteran of the league, renowned, actually the NFL has you, when I looked you up originally not years ago, but last year when I had first met you, the NFL highlight reel says, hey, best drop back quarterback in NFL history. You're not going to say it, but I'm going to say it. What advice do you have for people in the league right now and people who have, in light of the people who came in the league and got in all this trouble? You didn't get in any trouble. You know, you're a family man. You've got children. As a matter of fact, your daughter was just on The Voice. Snoop Dogg picked her up. She's working for Snoop Dogg now and doing all kinds of artistic things. All your children are doing well. What advice do you have for rookies coming into the league?
Well, I think the first thing is to make sure you have a good group of people around you.
Yeah.
Surround yourself with the right group of people that's in your best interest, and allow those people, when they say no, you listen to them. When they say no, nah, we can't go there, you can't do that. Listen to them. A lot of times it's your parents still, you know, like Jane Daniels' mom. She right there. No, you're not doing that.
Yeah.
He listens to her. You know, and you see a lot of athletes that have long careers, and their mamas are right there. You know, they protecting them the whole time, and that's okay. You know, but having a good
Counsel is what you always
counsel,
call
a group of
a good counsel.
a good group of people in your corner. You know, and I think another thing, you have to understand your faith and how much your faith means to you. And then the second thing is, what's your purpose?
So when you say your faith, because we shot a podcast where we watched the sun come up, and we talked about, before you talk about career, before you talk about family, before you talk about money, you know, where are you in the universe? You know, understanding the world and the universe and the power of the sun and the rising. Where are you spiritually? When you mentioned it, so can you elaborate on that for folks?
You know, I one time I was real heavy in the church, you know, and I was, especially when I was married, I was real heavy in the church and just going to church a lot. A lot of things happened, and you know, in that situation, and I kind of fell back. But then I realized that it's not what the preacher says; it's what God says. It's how you feel about your relationship with God, not with the man in the pulpit.
Yeah.
You know, and so that kept me going. That kept me humble. Um, my family is, especially the Blake side of the family, they're all church people. And if I would have went sideways, trust me, my aunts would have let me know.
Sure.
On both sides of the family.
Sure.
Yeah.
On my mom's side and my dad's side. They just didn't play. You know what I'm saying? They still don't play to this day.
So you're saying when you were an NFL player, your mother and father and family were watching you and, and saying, hey, son.
Oh, yeah.
Well, his mother passed.
Yeah.
Well, your mother passed. Yeah.
But I had aunts, though. She had 9 sisters.
Oh, I see.
So you were protected. Your mom made sure you were protected.
She had 9
That's
sisters.
amazing.
And then my
I
dad
love that.
dad has 3 sisters.
Wow.
You know,
So you've been around women all your life.
Yeah.
So
So you're such a gentleman.
Were you married all through the NFL?
Yes. Yes.
So now that's unusual because
Yeah,
you know
No,
very
folks
I'm getting nervous. Where's
No,
this
I
question?
understand, but people
He's on the
wanna
key
know.
to this line.
People want to know because you know people are having affairs and getting divorced. And there's all kinds of domestic violence stuff. I think what was the running back for the Vikings had gotten a domestic violence case. What was his name?
For Agent Peterson.
Agent Peterson.
Because he was spanking his child, and there a lot of people don't like that. A lot of people do things different, raised differently, have different tradition and culture, and do different things.
I just have a million questions. I want to ask a couple because I know we want to talk about mental health too because that's a big thing for you. But I want to ask some questions. I took you into my weight room. I wanted you to see my little modest weight room. You know, nothing compared to what
penitentiary trained is how he
well,
likes to call it.
I do because I have free weights in there. I'm still curling 55-pound dumbbells, but that's not the point. Greatest football. Well, I showed you a picture of Walter Payton that I had up. Greatest football player in your estimation.
Depends on what position.
Okay, good question. Okay, greatest running back.
Man, you about to get me in trouble.
You gotta pick.
Well, I mean, during my day, I felt like the best running back that I had the opportunity to see with my own eyes was Barry Sanders.
Oh yeah, he was great. Barry Sanders was great.
That I saw with my eyes.
Yeah.
Barry Sanders.
That's firsthand. How cool that you can even say that.
Now, I didn't see Jim Brown play.
Right.
I didn't see O.J. Simpson play.
Right.
You know, I didn't see Eric Dickerson play.
Right.
I didn't see those guys. And I saw them on TV.
Right.
But with my own eyes,
yeah,
Barry Sanders.
He was great.
Yeah. So for his running back, Barry Sanders for sure.
Greatest lineman.
Offensive line or defensive line?
Defensive.
My day, I would say, in my day, I would probably go Reggie White or Bruce Smith.
Okay. What were your thoughts on Lawrence Taylor? Who also, and we haven't got to the mental health part of this whole conversation, but Lawrence Taylor had a lot of issues.
Well, this will be a good segue.
Well, we're going to get into that,
yeah.
but I still have a couple more questions because I didn't ask the question. Greatest quarterback besides you all time?
Trying to get me in trouble.